Hello, Pre-Calculus 11 students. This is a video showing the solutions to the Trig Lesson 4 homework. Remember, that was from the Pre Calc 11 textbook. Pre Calc 11 textbook, and it was page 83, numbers 2 to 8. Okay, so I'd like to do these for you here. And we'll start off with number 2, and it says, without measuring, match each angle with a diagram of the angle, excuse me, in standard position. And the first angle it gives us is 150 degrees. And if I were to do that angle, you know how our angles start from the positive x-axis and we go counterclockwise. So this would be 90 degrees and all the way to there would be 180. So I'd have to be a little bit less than a half circle. So 150 would be like somewhere in here, roughly, right? Okay, and if you take a look at this page, remember the textbook is on my website, kamosi.yolasite.com. It shows you some various diagrams labeled with letters A, B, C, D, E, F. And if we take a look at this, the closest one to what I've drawn there is letter F. Okay, so the answer to A is F. Letter B, excuse me, allergies, is 180 degrees. And of course, if we were to draw 180 degrees, we would have right there, right? Okay, and that looks to me like letter C. Question number C is 45 degrees. Okay, we always start on the positive x-axis like that, and we know that 90 is all the way up there, so 45 would be more like this, right? Okay, 45 degrees like that, and if I look at the various diagrams, it looks like letter A is the best option for that one. Okay, we are on to letter D, which is 320 degrees. So I'll draw my little axes here. Start on the positive x-axis with the initial arm, it's called. There's 90, 180, 270 degrees. 360 is all the way around, so 320 would be somewhere in here. That would be 320 degrees, and that looks like letter D is the best answer. And letter E is 215 degrees. So we get our initial arm on the positive x-axis. There's 90 degrees, there's 180. All the way to the next line is 270, so 215 would be in like that. And the best diagram seems to be letter B. And letter F is 270 degrees. Initial arm, there's 90 degrees, 180 degrees. 180 plus 90 is indeed 270 degrees, like that. And if you look at the letters, the answer is going to be graph E. Okay, so it goes F, C, A, D, B, E, and that is consistent with the answer key. Perfect. Okay, so that's how you do number 2, and we're supposed to do all of them from 2 to 8. So let's get on to number 3 here, everybody. Number 3 says, in which quadrant does the terminal arm of each angle in standard position lie? Okay, and the first angle is 48 degrees. Initial arm, excuse me, 90 degrees is all the way up to that first line, so 48 is somewhere in like this. And you know how the quadrants go 1, 2, 3, and 4? The answer to this is it's in quadrant 1. Letter B is 300 degrees. Initial arm, 90, 180, 270, 360 is all the way around, so 300 is somewhere in here. And you can see that that is in quadrant 4. Letter C is 185 degrees. Initial arm on the positive x-axis, 90, 180, so 185 is going to be barely into there like that. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, oops, and 4. Okay, so in this one we are in quad 3. Three D is 75 degrees. Oops. Initial arm, 75 degrees would be something like this, and you can see that that's in quadrant 1. E is 220 degrees. There's the initial arm. There's 90, 180. To the next line is 270, so 220 would be somewhere in here. 1, 2, 3, that's in quad 3. And letter F is 160 degrees. There's 90 degrees, all the way to the next line is 180, so 160 would be about like that. That is in quadrant 2. Okay, so it goes quad 1, quad 4, quad 3, quad 1, quad 3, quad 2 according to the answer key, so that looks good. Question number 4 says, sketch an angle in standard position with each given measure. Okay, we start on the positive x-axis with the initial arm. 90 degrees is the positive y-axis, so 70 degrees would be about like this. Okay, and they have, excuse me, they have a nice diagram of that in the answer key. Letter B is 310 degrees. So that would be 90, 180, 270, all the way around is 360, so 310 would be somewhere in here. Okay, and they have a nice diagram of that in the answer key. Letter C is 225 degrees. Initial arm, 90 degrees, 180. Next line is 270, so 225 would be in like that. And letter D is 165 degrees. There's 90 degrees. All the way to the next line is 180, so 165 would be somewhere like this. Okay, and that is number 4. Number 5 says, what is the reference angle for each angle in standard position? And the first one they give us is 170 degrees. Initial arm, 90. 170 would be about here. Okay, and remember, guys, that the reference angle is the angle between the terminal arm and the closer x-axis piece. So it would be that little angle there. And that's going to be 10 degrees. Okay, letter B, the angle in standard position is 345 degrees. So there's 90, 180, 270, 360 all the way around, so 345 would be somewhere here. So that's 345 degrees, and remember the entire circle is 360 degrees, so this must be 15 degrees from the terminal arm to the closer x-axis, so there's the reference angle. All right, letter C, 5C. The angle is 72 degrees. .72 degrees would be like this. And the angle between the terminal arm and the closer x-axis would be that one as well, right? It wouldn't be all the way over there. That's a larger angle. Okay, so remember, in quadrant 1, the reference angle is equal to the rotation angle, it's called. So the reference angle is equal to 72 degrees. And letter D. The angle in standard position is 215 degrees. So there's 90, 180, 270 is to the next line, so 215 would be somewhere in here. Okay, and remember to get to this line, that's 180 degrees. So to get the reference angle right here, we have to go 215 degrees minus 180 degrees. So the reference angle is 35 degrees. Okay, so that's how you do number 5. All right, let's get on to number 6. Determine the measure of the 3 other angles in standard position that have a reference angle of A 45 degrees. Okay, so when you have a reference angle of 45 degrees, the reference angle is equal to the angle in standard position in the first quadrant. The 45 degrees is here, so the main angle would be that one. So you go 180 degrees minus 45, so we get 135 for that obtuse angle. And then if you make the reference angle 45 degrees in here, the whole big angle that we're talking about is that one, which is 180 plus 45, so 225 degrees. And if you put the 45 degrees here, then the whole big rotation angle is all the way to there, which is 360 minus 45, so 315 degrees. Okay, so those are the answers. The 3 other angles that have a reference angle of 45 degrees. Letter B is asking about a reference angle of 60 degrees. Okay, so there's 60 degrees, and then if we go into quadrant 2 with a 60-degree reference angle, the main angle is this one, which is 180 minus 60, so that's 120 degrees. And if we put the 60-degree reference angle here, to get this big angle, it is 180 plus 60, so 240 degrees. And then if our 60-degree reference angle is there, the full angle is that one, which would be 360 minus 60, so 300 degrees. And 6C, we're going to do the same thing with a reference angle of 30 degrees. That needs to be on there. Okay, so 30 degrees like that. If we make it a reference angle in here, and this is the 30 degrees, you would go 180 degrees minus the 30 makes this angle 150. And if we put the 30-degree reference angle there, of course 180 degrees plus that 30 is 210 degrees. And if we put 30 degrees here, so the 210 is like that, and then it's 360 all the way around here. We'd have to get this whole big angle, 360 degrees minus 30 degrees, and we would get 330 degrees. Okay, let's check some answers here in the answer key quickly. A, we got 135, 225, 315. That looks good. B is 120, 240, 300. That looks good. C is 150, 210, and 330. That looks good. Awesome. Let's do letter D. The reference angle is 75 degrees. If we make the 75-degree reference angle in here, and we know how all the way to here is 180. So to get that angle, you go 180 minus 75, so 105 degrees. And if we make a 75-degree reference angle there, then the whole rotation angle is like that, 180 plus 75, so 255 degrees. And if we make 75 degrees here, the whole rotation angle is like that. Which is 360 minus 75, which is 285 degrees. And that looks good with the answer key. Okay, so number 7 says copy and complete the table, determine the measure of each angle in standard position and give its reference angle and the quadrant in which the terminal arm lies. Sorry, determine the measure of each angle in standard position given its reference angle and the quadrant in which the terminal arm lies. Okay. So we've got reference angle, quadrant, and it wants to know the angle in standard position. And letter A gives us a reference angle of 72 degrees, and it says that that is in quadrant 4. Okay, so if we have a reference angle of 72 degrees like that in quadrant 4, then they want to know, okay, what is that whole big angle there, the rotation angle, or the angle in standard position, it's called. So the whole circle is 360, subtract 72, and we are going to get 288 degrees. So there's our answer. Letter B, the reference angle is 56, and we are in quadrant 2. Okay, so we know how all the way to this line is 180. So if I go 180 minus 56, I will get the angle in standard position. Okay, which is that one. So that's 124 degrees. Letter C, the reference angle is 18 degrees, and we are in quadrant 3. $18 here. So the angle in standard position is this one. Okay, you can see it's 180 degrees plus the 18, okay, because it's 180 just to that line. So what is that? 198 degrees. And letter D, we have a reference angle of 35 degrees in quadrant 4. Okay, so the reference angle is 35 degrees, and so the big question is, what is that angle? Okay, so all the way around the circle is 360. 360 minus 35 is going to be 325 degrees. Okay, and that is how you do number 7. Okay, we are finally on to number 8, and it says copy and complete the table without using a calculator. Express each ratio using exact values. And so it gives us the angles, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and 60 degrees. And it wants to know what is the sine of the angle, cos of the angle, and tan of the angle. And those all come from the special triangles, right? Remember there were 2 special triangles? The one that goes 1, 1, root 2. It's the 45, 45, 90 triangle. And then there's the 1, 2, root 3 triangle, which goes 30 degrees, 60 degrees, and 90 degrees. Okay. So we'll do the 30-degree one first, I guess. So this angle right here, sine of 30 degrees is opposite over hypotenuse, 1 over 2. Cos of 30 degrees is adjacent over hypotenuse, root 3 over 2. And tan 30 would be opposite over adjacent, 1 over root 3. Okay, now we're into 45 degrees. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so 1 over root 2. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, so 1 over root 2. And tan is opposite over adjacent, 1 over 1. And then we can look at the 60-degree angle. Sine of 60 is opposite over hypotenuse, so root 3 over 2. Cos of 60 will be adjacent over hypotenuse, which is 1 over 2. And tan of 60 is going to be opposite over adjacent, root 3 over 1. All right, and that is how you do number 8. And I'm just verifying answers in the back of the book. It's looking good. All right, so there you go, guys. That is the lesson 4 homework. I will talk to you soon.